Namah Shivaya, Om 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 Namah Shivaya, Namah Shivaya, Om 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 Namah Shivaya. Hare Namo Parvati Padave, Hare Namo Hare. Shri Tapovan Paramadurave Namaha. Om Shri Chinmaya Sankirave Namaha. Om Shri Guru Bhyo Namaha. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahana Bhunatu Saha Viryam Karavavai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavai. Om Shanti Om Sadashivasamarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam Shruti Smriti Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavat Padam Shankaram Loka Shankaram Samastagana Kalyani Nidatam Karunamayam Namami Chinmaya Devam Satguru Brahmayakaya. Hari Om. My salutations to all of you present here and those of you who are online. So welcome to this study of the KATHOPANISHAD. There was a question that I read somewhere, that why do meditation masters love tennis? So why do meditation masters love tennis? Because the game always starts with love all. The score always starts with love all. The game always begins with a service. And the winner always gets a cup which is empty. So Upanishads are like that. I'm not saying Upanishad equal to tennis, but I'm saying that the understanding of the Upanishad is to experience that oneness with the Supreme Self. How will we experience that oneness with the Supreme Self? When we become empty. And when we become empty, then we see that everything is appearance of the same one truth. We love everyone. And out of that love is born tireless, unconditional service. So, Kathopanishad. So, what are the Upanishads? Upanishads are the last portion of the Veda. They are called as Vedanta. Upanishado Nama Vedanta Pramana. Vedanta Nama Upanishad Pramana. Sorry. Vedanta is equal to Upanishad. The end portion of the Veda is called as Upanishad. And it is the end portion not only because it is found at the end. Most of the Upanishads you will find in the end portion. There are other Upanishads you will find in other places, also in the Vedas. But mostly you will find at the end part. So entire Vedic knowledge is divided, the entire Vedas are divided into three parts. The first part is the Karma Kanda, which are rituals, rites, various methods by which desires can be fulfilled. So in the olden days, in the Vedic times, the yajnas are done, havans are done, the deities, the phenomenal forces are invoked for a certain desire, for a certain fulfillment, and then they bless that community or the group of people with whatever they desire. Individually also sometimes, or community also sometimes. So like we know, the famous example is Lord Ram. How was he born? He was born because of the Putra Kameshti Yajna. So sometimes yajnas are done to get wealth, get children, get fame, get health, many things like that. Individually. And sometimes it's done collectively, like the whole community wants rain. Then they invoke the Indra Devata. So the first part of the Veda is for Sakama Karma as well as Nishkama Karma, both. It is the Karma Kanda. So anybody who has desires, and everybody has desires as one human is, naturally has desires. That's a free will that one has actually. That we can desire what we want. And so that person who is able to, who has desires, how to fulfill those desires, how to stay in the world, how to attain wealth, name, fame, prosperity, all that. Because that's an important part of one's life. In our culture, we don't condemn any of these pursuits. So it is not that in spirituality wealth is condemned or pleasure is condemned. They have their own place. For a spiritual seeker who wants the absolute, they are not necessary. But if somebody else at a different level needs, then they want it, there is no problem. So a person who has desires, the first part of the Veda is to fulfill these desires. And that's a very large part. Because majority will have desires. And these desires are what we depend on for the sake of happiness. And when the ritual is done with a single pointed mind and the appropriate phenomenal forces are propitiated, those blessings come. So the first part is that. Second part is the Upasana part. So where the meditations are done to bring the mind into single pointedness. Where a person has experienced the desires and understood that the result of these desires is very temporary. Externally, the result which comes is very temporary. And also, in that there is a lot of exhaustion of physical energy, mental difficulties. And ultimately, the enjoyment which one is experiencing is coming from a mind which is quiet. Happiness is in a quiet mind. A person who has understood that has seen through the limitation of desires. That person learns to quieten the mind, because if I know how to make the mind quiet, happiness I can experience in my mind here and now. So the second part is the Upasana part. So where these special meditations are done with various support systems and the person learns to quieten the mind. Desires are reduced in this person and the person is also able to focus using any support. So it can be a mantra, it can be form, it can be any support in nature. An ordinary symbol is used. Any ordinary thing can be used and something very divine or subtle is superimposed on that. Like we use a flag. If we see, factually it is just a piece of cloth. But then when that cloth is colored in that saffron and then the white and then the green, then that flag symbolizes for me the country. And then the emotion of patriotism will arise. So in the same way, it could be a form, it could be nature, anything. So the sun that we see, or that sun can be looked upon just as a star, as a physical entity which is illuminating the sun. Or one can look at it as the manifestation of Ishvara and then worship that Supreme because it symbolizes life, energy, everything, knowledge. So that is the Upasana. And many Upasanas are given. You will find Upasanas are there even in the Upanishads. To make the mind single pointed, to make the mind pure, to surrender this ego, Upasana is an important aspect. When a person has done both these, when one has seen through the limitation of the world, one has seen power, pleasure, prestige, popularity, all that one has gone through, one has understood the limitation of it. One is not just intellectually saying that, okay, there is no happiness here. In one's life, one has gone through it, or one has gone through it in the earlier lives and there is Purva Janma samskar, so the cravings are not there. When a person has gone through that part of life and has also gone through the Upasana part, where slowly one has learned to quieten the mind, there is a thirst in the person to break free from the sense of finitude. Because no matter how successful we are, how much even peaceful our mind becomes through Upasana, through my actions, through my karma, I become successful, I achieve glory, I achieve name, fame, progeny, prosperity, all that. And through my meditation, I learn to make the mind quiet, Upasana, I make the mind quiet. Still, there will be the sense of finitude, Jiva Bhav will be there. Person will feel limited and bound. Naraji went to the Sanat Kumars and he told them that, I know so many things. I know music and dance and literature and arts and everything, for Vedas, and still fulfillment is not there. Can you please tell me that way in which Nothing more remains to be gained. There is a sense of completeness, fulfillment. The sense of incompleteness goes. In our life, no matter what we achieve, once some incompleteness will remain. And that incompleteness we try to fill with more and more things, with more and more people, or money, or success. And how much ever we do that, it will still remain. So, what is the method to get out of this sense of incompleteness? This person is the seeker who has seen through these things in the world, has understood the limitation of worldly enjoyments, is acutely aware that there is a sense of incompleteness, does not anymore want to run behind the world, but at the same time the person has not yet awakened to the Supreme. The mind is in a state of inquiry that I want to know what is that. And it is not an intellectual quest. There is a feeling accompanied by it. That is very important. It is not informative knowledge. The person feels bound and the person wants to break free. That bondage has to be felt. That I may have been successful in this life, previous life, whatever. And I have seen through all this. No more is the mind interested to run behind this, because how much ever one runs behind this, and one gets it also. It's not that one is chasing it and one has not got it, so one says, okay, there is no happiness in this world. Not like that. One has seen it. And then one feels still limited and bound. The shackles one has to feel, that the Jiva Bhav is, as the ego, there is so much of fear, insecurity, sorrow, dependency, all this. And so, one who wants to be free from this intensely, that person is the seeker. So this person who wants to get free and who feels that bondage. Freedom can be sought intensely, single-pointedly only when I come to feel bondage. If I don't feel bondage, it will be an intellectual, informative study. Upanishads give result only when the feeling for freedom is very strong. That's why this qualifications, etc., you will see. That a person who has done the vivek, has understood what is temporary, what is permanent, and how the temporary world cannot give permanent happiness. That person who has understood that very clearly intellectually and feels that. The feeling of vairagya comes when there is vivek. That in the temporary there is no happiness. And that's a firm conviction. In the Upanishad, KATHOPANISHAD will be one line which comes. Dhruvam adhruveshu viha na prathayante. Permanent happiness is what we all seek, but we are seeking that in the impermanent things. So the wise person will not seek the permanent happiness in the impermanent things. So the person who has this clarity and also accompanied by that feeling that it is not there. Like all of us know that there is no happiness in the toys of the childhood. Does anybody have any doubts? Nowadays, modern toys, I think happiness is there. Our Jamane ka toys, there was no happiness, but I think modern toys are happy. Nobody has doubts. Toys are toys. Whether it's old toys or new toys, how does it matter? They are just toys. But same analogy will be applied to our life. Earlier life was not so comfortable, but today's life is very comfortable, right? So the feeling is happiness is there in the world outside. So the mind runs. Person who has seen through all that and understood, no, there is no happiness there. That's why that famous saying, no, in the world of rat race, even if you win, you still remain a rat. Always afraid of a cat. heading below a mat. Fear, insecurity, finitude, sorrow, all it will remain. So when Naradji also asked the Sanat Kumar that I have learned so many things, I have learned the Veda also, but still I am not fulfilled. There he was told, Tarati Shokam Atmavid. Only a person who knows the self can go beyond sorrow, can go beyond the sense of finitude, can go beyond the sense of jiva, the limitation. So the Atma has to be known. Who am I truly? It is not that I have to become infinite happiness now. How can I become infinite happiness? Infinity means even right now, here and now. So the knowledge of the self is what a person seeks. So who is a seeker? A seeker is a seeker of happiness, permanent happiness. And how does one get that permanent happiness? By knowing that my nature is that. I am already what I seek. Only falsely I have identified with this one equipment called body, mind, intellect. So I am feeling finite, feeling limited, feeling bound. And the moment I come out of that identification, there is no bondage. Every night, Bhagavan gives us that feeling. But just that we don't know it consciously while we are in it. So in the state of deep sleep, we all experience freedom from identification with the BMI. Is there sorrow in deep sleep? Is anybody miserable in deep sleep? However miserable one may be in dream and waking state. Some PG I read somewhere, one man he got up and started crying. He is a boy. So he started crying. So the father asked, "Hey beta, why are you crying?" He said, "You know daddy, I was dreaming and in my dream I failed." He said, "What a fool you are. At least in dream you can pass. It's your own dream. You created the dream. If you are not passing in the day-to-day life, at least in the dream you pass." Misery in waking state, misery in dream is also possible, but misery in deep sleep possible. You can try next 1 week. Try to be miserable in deep sleep. It's just not possible. Why? Because the source of misery, which is the sense of jiva, which is the finitude, the identification with the BMI, that is not there. I am closest to the self in that state. Only that ignorance, that is one last curtain, that veil is there. If you remove that veil, that's what we do in meditation. Oneness with the Absolute. So, here is a person who wants the supreme happiness. A seeker is not an escapist. Many people think a seeker is an escapist, you are escaping from life. If you come to spirituality, you will become disinterested in daily living. Nobody becomes disinterested in daily living. One starts seeking happiness in the place where it is to be found. And one actually becomes more happy because that's where one will find it, beyond the mind. To experience that beyond the mind, the very process which one is going through of working hard and getting success and achieving the results and understanding its limitation and then coming into a support system where Upasana is done, that process also will make the person happy on the way. Can the path to supreme happiness be filled with misery? If my spiritual sadhana is bringing misery to me, that means somewhere I am going wrong. There is a beautiful line in Mundaka Upanishads, Satyena Pantha Vitato Devayana. The path to the truth leads. Truth is the path to the truth, simple. Happiness is the path to happiness. It cannot be I am miserable. Yes, the mind may have to be disciplined, so the mind may feel little bit uncomfortable in the beginning because it is going to be pushed out of its comfort zone, its wrong notions. But as one keeps doing this, the sattva guna keeps rising, the path is through happiness. So such a seeker who is having this healthy attitude that I have seen enough in life, is not a dejected, depressed, failure type of a person, has seen through life, has understood the limitation that here there is no happiness, and who wants the infinite happiness, that person searches for a teacher, that who is the one who can get me out of this sense of finitude by making me aware of the self. Sometimes the student is aware, that's an Uttam Adhikari who knows what is the cause of bondage and what is the means of liberation. Sometimes one doesn't know what is bondage, so the student goes to the teacher and asks also, Ko nama baddha, kathamesha agata. What is bondage, from where has it come, how do I get out of this bondage? But a person has understood that I need to see, so the person goes to the teacher. And the knowledge that one gets at the feet of the teacher, which helps the person to get out of the sense of finitude, that is the knowledge of the self. That is the knowledge of one's own true nature. That knowledge is what we call as Upanishad. So Upanishad is not just the book we will see as we go along. Upanishad is Brahma Vidya. It is the knowledge of the oneness of the individual with the Supreme. That how I am not this one finite mortal entity, but I am one with that absolute truth. That knowledge which destroys the root cause of our sorrow, which is ignorance, that knowledge is called Upanishad. And it is found mostly in the end portion of the Veda because it's the culmination of this evolution. From many, many desires which are fulfilled in so many ways, dharmic and adharmic ways, to desires which are fulfilled in dharmic ways, to very few desires, to one desire that I must know the self, to desirelessness. My nature is desirelessness. This evolution of the individual is what the Veda represents. Karma Kand, Upasana Kand, and the third portion is called Jnana Kand. Jnana Kand is the Upanishads. So when we say Vedanta means what? The end portion of the Veda. And end portion of the Veda, what will we find? Upanishads. So Vedanta is equal to Upanishad. That should be clear to us. Vedanta is equal to Upanishad. And the Upanishads are the valid means of knowledge of the self. To gain any knowledge, a valid means is very important. If the means is not valid, the knowledge will not be clear or the knowledge will be wrong. So to gain the knowledge of form, I have to use the eyes. Eyes are the valid means of knowledge to gain the knowledge of the form. Suppose I don't have eyes and I am using touch to figure out. I will get knowledge, but it will not be complete because I won't know the color. I can with the hands figure out the shape, but I won't know the color. I won't know the different shades of the color, so the knowledge will not be complete. So that's a simple example using the eyes. Same way, if I want to know about physics, what is the valid means of knowledge? I have to open the books of physics. If I open chemistry book, will I get the knowledge of physics? No. The means of valid knowledge is not valid there. So what is the valid means of knowledge to know the self? What is this self? That which is beyond body, mind and intellect, which is not perceptible to the senses, which cannot be felt by the mind, which is not known as an object by the intellect. Does it even exist? Because we only know what is perceptible through the BMI. What is that which is beyond this BMI? That's what KATHOPANISHAD is, where Nachiketa will ask that question. What is that which is beyond the BMI? How do I know it even exists? And even if it exists, how is it that it is my nature? And how do I realize that absolute truth? This knowledge is the knowledge of the Upanishads. They are the valid means of knowledge. The main reason why we study the Veda is with literally means to know. So Veda is a huge body of knowledge. All aspects of life are covered in the Veda. But the main reason why we study Veda is to determine these two things. One is what is Dharma, second is what is Brahma. Because both these are intangible. And for both these, we need a valid means of knowledge. Dharma is intangible. What is right, what is wrong, what is my duty, what is not my duty, what is a value at a certain time and what is not a value at a certain time. How do I determine that? Dharma jignasamanana pramanam paramam shruti, it is said. And Brahma jignasamanana pramanam paramam shruti. For those who are seekers of Dharma and Brahma, the valid means of knowledge is Shruti, the Veda. It is time-tested, revealed knowledge. It is not a composition of a human being. It is a compilation of a human being. What is the difference between a composition and a compilation? Composition is written by human being through human intellect. But a compilation is just compiled together. Like, example is, suppose we have a whole compilation of the works of Adi Shankaracharya in a book. So, composition is by Adi Shankaracharya, compilation may be by some publication. So, in that way, the Vedic knowledge is not written by the rishis as a composition. Vedavyasa, as a great master, compiled them all, classified them into these three divisions, Karma Kanda, Upasana and Jnana Kanda. Then who is the author of this? Bhagavan himself is the author. This is revealed knowledge, intuitive knowledge. And it is revealed to people whose minds are quiet, whose minds are pure. Just like science today also believes in revelation. Archimedes' principle was revealed to him. He was in search of that. He was in a quest that, what is that because of which these objects are floating. And then suddenly at that moment it struck him. But that moment, Eureka moment they call it, that came because he was constantly seeking that answer, that how is this happening? So many discoveries, whether it's gravity or anything. How this is functioning. And the scientists, the mind becomes tuned and the revelation happens. So many things, even in science, are imperceptible, by the way. We think only religion talks about imperceptible things. No. Can atom be perceived? Atom is invisible. But it is still tangible in the sense it is a dissection of matter, so we can still say, okay, atom is one. But otherwise, if we go into the depth of it, atom and subatomic particle and string and quarks, they are not visible. So then what is the praman? Scientists. And the revealed knowledge only is the praman. So those who want to know Dharma, those who want to know Brahman, Veda becomes the authority point. Because here are the great subjective scientists, the rishis who have done the sadhana, who have purified their minds, who are constantly in search of that, and to those masters the knowledge has got revealed, and then it has got compiled. So this Vedic knowledge, we believe that Veda is not a book. Veda means knowledge. And as knowledge there is no beginning, it is anadi. Few important aspects of the Veda are this. Veda is anadi. Knowledge has no beginning. Why do we say that knowledge has no beginning? Well, if knowledge has a beginning, then what was before that? Ignorance or nothingness. If ignorance is there, Then how is knowledge born from there? First of all, ignorance is of what? Ignorance is of knowledge only, no? I don't know something. The absence of that knowledge only which we call it. So knowledge does not have any beginning. It's beginningless, anadi. So Veda also is anadi. As books, yes, they have a beginning, and sometimes we have, like right now, we have lost a lot of part of the Vedas because of the attacks and invasion. We have lost the book form. But the knowledge part is still there. And the minds which are tuned, revelations happen to them even today. There is a person called Daivarata in the 20th century, 20th or 21st century, 21st century now, in the last few decades. To him the revelations happen, Vedic revelations happen even today. And so many Pandits and so many of the Vedic masters, they have authenticated, yes, this is a revelation happening to this person, it is true. It is not his mind composing all that. So the mind which is pure and which is tuned, revelations happen even today to those minds. So Vedic knowledge is anadi. It is apaurushaya. It is not human composition. So all these Vedas, including the Upanishads, are not compositions of human beings. Third, it is ananta. It is endless. It will lead to oneness with the Supreme also. And fourth, as I said, it is the valid means of knowledge to know what is dharma and what is Brahma, which is my true nature. So a person who has followed this scheme now goes to the teacher and wants to know the self. That portion is the Upanishad. The reason why this background is necessary to understand is Upanishad is a book which requires qualifications to study. It cannot be just taken up like a light reading book and understand. It won't work like that. Somebody picked up a Upanishad and went and asked the master, is this a good book to study? So the master said, you should not be asking that, is this a good book to study? You should be asking, am I good enough to study this book? Am I qualified enough to study this book? Because suppose I pick up a book of quantum physics and start reading, will I understand? I have to have base in physics. Same way I have to have the base in Vedanta. And that's why one doesn't come to Upanishad straight away. If one has studied properly the fundamental books and then one has come to the Gita, then one comes to the Upanishad, one will understand it properly, systematically one studies. So this Upanishad, there are many Upanishads. But out of so many Upanishads, some are known to us, many are unknown to us. So about 108 are considered as authentic and approved by the Vedic masters. And out of those, 11 are considered as the major Upanishads. What is major Upanishad? See, the knowledge of the Upanishads is the same. In all Upanishads, they will speak about oneness of the Supreme, individual with the Supreme. Jiva Brahma Aikya is what they will speak about. The main content is that. So in content there is no dilution. But some Upanishads are called major Upanishads only because there are 11 such major Upanishads. Because the three great masters, Shankaracharya ji, who is the Advaitic philosopher, then Madhvacharya ji, who propounds Dvaita, and Ramanujacharya, Vishishtadvaita. These three masters have written commentary on these 11 Upanishads. So the commentary on KATHOPANISHAD is one of the major Upanishads, is available by all the three, Madhvacharya, Ramanujacharya and Shankaracharya. So they are called major Upanishads and the others are called minor Upanishads. So Kaivalya Upanishad, Amrita Bindu Upanishad, Surya Upanishad, like that there are many minor Upanishads. Which are the 11 major Upanishads? Some people say 10, some people say 11. Because Shvetashvatara Upanishad, some of them say it is not a major Upanishad, but the commentary is available. So some people believe that no, Shankaracharya wrote that. Some people say that no, he didn't write it. Somebody else wrote it. So that always a scholarly debate will go on. So what are these 11 Upanishads? Isha Upanishad, Ishavasya Upanishad, Kena Upanishad, Kathopanishad, Mundaka Upanishad, Aitareya Upanishad, Taittiriya Upanishad, then Prashna Upanishad, Chandogya Upanishad, Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, Mandukya Upanishad, and Shvetashvatara. 11. Isha, Kena, Katha, Mundaka, Aitareya, Taittiriya, Brihadaranyaka, Chandogya, Prashna, Mandukya, Shvetashvatara. 11 Upanishads. Shvetashvatara Upanishad. 11 Upanishads. These 11 Upanishads, each of them you will find a disciple goes to the teacher, asks a question, and the knowledge is revealed. Except in one or two, the Ishavasya or in Mandukya Upanishad, you won't find this dialogue, but it is implied that a disciple has been given this knowledge. So, when a teacher and a student they meet, it is a minor Upanishad. Kaivalya Upanishad, Amrita Bindu Upanishad, these are minor Upanishads. So, you see the prepared student who has Vivek, Vairagya, Shatka Sampatti and Mumukshutva. A prepared student has gone to a teacher in the Himalayas. The teacher is withdrawn and sitting quietly in the Himalayas, contemplating on the truth, absorbing and reveling in the truth. This student has gone there to get this knowledge. So a prepared student meets a qualified teacher who is very well versed in the knowledge of the truth, established in the knowledge of the truth, who knows the scriptural knowledge, Shrotriya that person is called, and Brahmanishta, who is also established in Brahman. Such a teacher is approached by the student. Those are the Upanishadic days, the Vedic times, when this teacher is approached by the student and a qualified student. In our times, people like Puja Gurudev, Shankaracharya, they brought the knowledge to our doorsteps, created the demand in us, saying that we don't even know what is the cause of our sorrow. That we are in bondage itself, we don't know. These people come and they awaken us, saying, get up. Realize that you are bound and human life one can become free. So, both these approaches are there. Where the master has come to the student and awakens the desire to even become free in the student and then gives the knowledge, protects the student, the whole journey happens. And Upanishad times, the qualified teacher, student goes to a realized master. Now the conversation between both of them, what will be the level of their conversation? It will be very subtle. Because it's a very highly advanced student also, who has all the 4 qualifications, and that person has gone to the teacher. And it is not that only that person goes. There are different categories of students also who are there. So many types of students go to the teacher. So you will find in a Upanishad like Kena Upanishad, where the Uttamadhikari, the best student has gone there. Along with him there are many other students also. And the teacher is revealing the knowledge of the self in the class. The question is asked and the teacher is giving the knowledge, and the best student, as soon as the teacher says, gets it also. And after the teacher has completed the whole Upanishad, one student suddenly gets up and says, "Oh teacher, at least tell the Upanishad now. Upanishadam ho bruhi." Till now he was thinking what was going on was Upanishad only, but this man was thinking, okay, Upanishad will come now, it will come now, it will come now. He didn't understand because he was not ready, not qualified. So then to that student also the master gives upasanas to make the mind pure, values that he has to follow, satyam and brahmacharya and all that, so that he will become ready for his philosophy. So we find that there are 4 types of students. Teacher qualification I told you, Shrotriya and Brahmanishta. Qualification of student also I said, Vivek, Vairagya, Shakya Sampatti and Mumukshuta. Now if we have these and then we go, great. If we don't have these, then what we have to do? Start cultivating. Intensify those qualifications. When we come to the study of Upanishads, many times what happens? Oh, I am now studying Upanishads. I finished Tattva Bodh, I finished Vivek Chudamani, I finished Atma Bodh. Okay, you have finished the books, but if the books finish us, my ego is very strong. As it is Swami, changeless. Those are not books of Prakarana Grantha that I have finished all those. Those are my preparation, which I have to keep on strengthening. The more I reflect on those, the more I will become ready for Upanishad. Upanishad is a very subtle subject. I have to go on refining Vivek, Vairagya, Shakya, Sampatti, Mumukshutvam. In my daily life, I have to cultivate these qualities. So it's not that, okay, I know Vivek, Vairagya, Shakya, Sampatti, Mumukshutvam. Information I have. This is the qualification required. I have to cultivate that qualification. And that's why simultaneously one must continue to study and reflect upon a Prakarana Grantha and keep trying to apply that in one's daily life. So, as I said, there are 4 types of disciples. The highest and the subtlest, the best adhikari, the uttam adhikari, Swami Shivananda used to give these analogies. The uttam adhikari is like petrol. That petrol, as soon as it comes in contact with air, what happens? It evaporates. The uttam adhikari is like that. It comes in contact with the teacher and the teacher says, Tattvamasi, or any Mahavakya. That student realizes immediately. In this KATHOPANISHAD you will find Nachiketa is an uttam adhikari, the highest level of adhikari. If we become like Nachiketa, it will be a great thing. Our first aim must be, I should become like Nachiketa. So great was Nachiketa's character and his life that Shankaracharya ji, when he is writing the commentary on this, he starts by saluting Lord Yama, who is the teacher, and saluting the disciple. Om Namo Bhagavate Vaivasvataya Mrityave Brahma Vidyacharyaya Nachiketa Secha. Says, I salute Nachiketa. Can you imagine Shankaracharya ji saying, I salute Nachiketa? We will see the stories. Fantastic. That character of Nachiketa is so powerful. How he lives his life. At what age? He was such a young boy. Uttam Adhikari. Lord Yama himself praises Nachiketa. He says, Nachiketa, there is no seeker like you. The student, the glory of that student is such that teacher is floored. That what a student I have got. Rare is that type of a student one gets. So, Uttam Adhikari is like that, the best student. who has Vivek, Vairagya, Shakta, Sampati, Mumukshutvam, intense desire only to know the truth, goes to the teacher, job is done. Then, Madhyam Adhikari is one who has intellectual quest, who is still cultivating, has cultivated, but intensity is required more. So the example for that person is the dry twigs. Now the dry twigs, they have to be lit and then they will catch fire. So more effort is required. The Madhyam Adhikari is like that. Then the Manda Adhikari is the third level. That person is like a charcoal. So the charcoal, the fire is lit, but very soon the ash will cover the fire, cover the charcoal, so the fire will become weak. Then one has to fan. So the guru has to go on fanning. This person's quest comes up, again some material temptations and desires will come up, again the quest will become weak, again the guru has to fan, again the seeking will happen, again it falls, this goes on. And the Adham Adhikari is burst. It's like the stalk of a plantain tree. The stalk of a plantain tree has so much of water inside it that if you try to light it, what it will do? That fire can get put off. But the stalk of the plantain tree won't get lit. So 4 types of adhikaris. And what is the difference in all of them? The difference in all of them is the qualification. Vivek, Vairagya, Shakta, Sampati and Moksha. So this Kathopanishad is the dialogue between Lord Yama, who is Shrotriya and Brahmanistha, and Nachiketa, who is an Uttamadhikari. And what conversation happens between them? Through that this Brahma Vidya is revealed to us. Now whenever a disciple and his teacher come together and Upanishad has to start, the minds of each other have to be tuned. So the Shanti mantra is chanted to tune up the minds of the teacher and the student to that absolute truth, so that when the knowledge is given, that is absorbed. So both of them invoke the Supreme and both of them tune their minds with each other and both of them surrender to the Supreme, and then the knowledge transfer happens. So in this Upanishad, we will find the Shanti part is the famous one which we just began with also, is Sahana Bhavatu. So different Vedas have different Shanti part. So the Rig Veda Shanti part you will see is Purnamada Purnamida. Sama Veda Shanti part you will see Apyayantu Mamangani. Atharva Veda you will see Bhadram Karne Vishnumayama Devaha. And this is Yajurveda, Sahana Bhavatu. This is Krishna Yajurveda. Kathopanishad is found in this Krishna Yajurveda. So, the Shanti mantra is to tune up the minds. So we will chant the Shanti mantra again today and know the meaning. Tomorrow we will take up the meaning, but we will again chant the Shanti mantra. When we chant the Shanti mantra, the idea is to tune the mind with the Supreme. So one should do it with that bhav, with that attitude. So repeat after me. Om Sahana Bhavatu.
Om Sahana Bhavatu.
Sahanau Bhunaktu.
Sahanau Bhunaktu.
Sahaviryam Karavavahai.
Sahaviryam Karavavahai.
Tejasvinavadhitamastu.
Tejasvinavadhitamastu.
Ma vidvishavahai.
Ma vidvishavahai.
Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.
Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.
Shanti Shanti has to be said in descending order. Loud and then soft. Don't say Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Feel that Shanti. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. So this meaning of this we will take up tomorrow. I would recommend that please use this KATHOPANISHAD of Gita Press. We will get it tomorrow. How many of you would like to have this KATHOPANISHAD from the Gita Press? Please give your names to Shamanji. She will get the books for you, and because I will be following. So I am doing this as my sadhana, and all of you are here to benefit from that. It's a loud reflection that I am doing. So I am going to study the Shankaracharyaji's commentary word by word. So I will read this. So suppose I say Atha Kathaka Upanishad Vallinam Sukata Prabodhanartham Alpa Granthavrittir Arabhyate. So I will read this. Then I will explain the meaning. So we are following the commentary of Shankaracharyaji. So it is a great blessing even to read the commentary. Forget knowing the meaning. Even to read the commentary is one great blessing. So you don't say that, I don't know Sanskrit, this is going to be very tough. Upanishad is tough knowledge. But it will become easy. Because if we go directly to the source, then we understand that what was the vision of the Upanishads, what is the vision that Shankaracharya brought out from the Upanishads. So you will be able to follow. Otherwise you will just be looking at my face. Better than looking at my face is at least you look at Sanskrit mantras here and what is given here, and that words will go inside. Now Sanskrit will become more familiar also to you. So I would suggest please follow this book. Get the copy. So Dvaita is where the person says that I and God are completely different. I am very small, I am limited, I have limited knowledge, I have limited understanding, limited brain, limited power. And God is who is all pervasive, all powerful, all knowing. So there is no similarity between me and God. I am very different, God is very different. And I will always be a servant of that Lord. That is Dvaita. Vishishta Advaita is, I am a part of that God. So the properties of the whole are there in the part. So if Bhagwan has Ichha Shakti, Kriya Shakti, Jnana Shakti, I as an individual also have Ichha, Kriya, Jnana Shakti, but limited quantity. So I am a part of that God. And Advaita says, I and God essentially are one from the absolute standpoint of consciousness. Equipment, I have one equipment, God is the total world, this whole universe. But if you remove the conditionings, then essentially consciousness in me is the consciousness in the Supreme. That is Advaita. So that's Vishishta Advaita, Dvaita and Advaita. That's the difference.
All these three philosophies are part of Upanishads.
Upanishads speak only about Advaitic philosophy. The interpretation is given by these masters. So the same mantra, somebody will say, no, this mantra is, this is what this means from Dvaita standpoint, this is what this means from Vishishta Advaita, this is what it means from Advaita standpoint. Because they will interpret it in that way. But the essence of Upanishadic knowledge is Advaita. Why? Because you will see, as you see the mantras, it's very, very clear. The purpose of study of the Upanishad is removal of ignorance. And ignorance is to think that I am different from the Supreme. So you will see that as you go along. That's the gist. And not everybody is capable and ready to experience that Supreme oneness from the Advaitic standpoint. So at different times the different masters come up and they give the same knowledge in a way which is more easily acceptable, digestible, understandable by the people. So then we have Dvaita, we have Vishishta Dvaita. So Shama, Dama, Uparama, Titiksha, Shraddha, Samadhana, 6 qualities. Tattvabodh will have these more details. Control of the mind, control of the senses, then withdrawal of the mind, forbearance, faith, and absorption of the mind. These 6 qualifications. Okay, so we continue. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Guru Namaha. Hari Om.